The alarm bells rang through the Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Prime. Ambassador Thylex rushed to his communication console as the emergency signal flashed red across his screen. His blue skin turned pale as he read the message. "Emergency transmission incoming from the Outer Rim," announced the Council's central computer. "Source unknown. Signal degraded." The massive holographic display activated in the center of the chamber. Static filled the air before a desperate voice broke through. "This is Captain Zenthara of the colony ship Harmony's Light. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack. 50,000 refugees aboard. Kravik ships closing in. Our shields are failing. Someone, anyone, please help us." The transmission cut to static. Then it repeated. The same desperate plea over and over. Thylex felt his heart sink. The Kravik Dominion. Every species in the galaxy knew that name and feared it. They were slavers, killers, destroyers of worlds. When the Kravik found you, death was often the kindest outcome. Other ambassadors began filing into the chamber. The fish-like Aquarians swam in their mobile water tanks. The rock people called stonemen stomped in with heavy steps. The energy beings known as sparks floated through the air like living lightning. "What is the situation?" asked Ambassador Korath of the stonemen. His voice sounded like grinding rocks. "Zalari colony ship under attack by Kravik forces," Thylex replied. 50,000 lives at stake. The room fell silent. Everyone knew about the Zalari. They were peaceful farmers and artists. Their homeworld had been destroyed in a civil war 3 years ago. The survivors had been traveling through space looking for a new home. "Where are they?" asked Ambassador Fluvia, her watery voice bubbling from her tank. Thylex checked his console. "Sector 447 near the Sol system." "How long until our peacekeeping fleet can reach them?" asked another voice. 3 days minimum," replied the computer. 3 days, whispered Ambassador Korath. "They will not last 3 hours against the Kravik." The chamber erupted in discussion. Some ambassadors argued for immediate action. Others said it was too late. A few suggested they should not risk council ships against the Kravik. Thylex stared at the star map. Sector 447, that was close to human space. "Very close. What about the humans?" he said quietly. The room went silent again. "The humans?" laughed Ambassador Vex of the Cobra people. "Those primitive warmongers? What could they possibly do against a Kravik dreadnought?" "They are in the area," Thylex said. "We could send them the distress signal." "The humans barely have faster-than-light travel," scoffed Ambassador Fluvia. "Their ships are metal boxes with engines. The Kravik would destroy them in seconds. But they might try," Thylex argued. "Humans are different. They help others even when they gain nothing from it." More laughter filled the chamber. "Send them the signal if you want," said Ambassador Vex, "but do not expect miracles from those barbarians." Thylex ignored the insults. He had met humans before. They were strange, yes, violent, certainly, but they had something most species did not. They had hope, and they never gave up. He opened a channel to human space and transmitted the Zalari distress call. Far away, in the darkness between stars, Admiral Sarah Chen sat in her command chair aboard the UES Retribution. The ship was massive, black as space itself, and completely invisible to most sensors. Around her, 11 other ships hung in the void like sleeping predators. Chen was small for a human, but her crew feared and respected her. She had fought in the Titan War. She had seen humanity almost die. She had watched entire planets burn. But she had also seen humanity survive impossible odds and grow stronger. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Morrison from the communications station. "We're receiving a transmission." "Galactic Council frequency." Chen raised an eyebrow. The Council rarely spoke to humans directly. Most species considered them too dangerous or too primitive to bother with. "Put it through," she ordered. The desperate voice of Captain Zenthara filled the bridge. Chen listened to the entire message twice. 50,000 refugees. Kravik attackers. A plea for help. "Morrison, verify the signal's origin," Chen commanded. "Signal is authentic, Admiral. Transmitted from Nexus Prime. The Zalari ship is here." Morrison highlighted a point on the tactical display. 18 light minutes away." Chen studied the display. The 13th Fleet was supposed to be on a routine patrol mission. Officially, they were monitoring asteroid mining operations. Unofficially, they were humanity's most dangerous secret. The 13th Fleet did not exist in any public records. The ships had no official names. The crew members were listed as dead in government files. They were Earth's answer to threats that normal fleets could not handle. "Commander Webb," Chen called to her tactical officer. "What do we know about Kravik forces in this sector?" Webb, a tall man with scars covering half his face, checked his console. "Long-range sensors detect one large ship. Dreadnought class. Designation unknown. It's attacking a civilian vessel matching the Zalari description." Chen closed her eyes and thought. The smart move was to ignore the signal. The 13th Fleet was not supposed to reveal itself except in the most extreme circumstances. Getting involved in alien politics was dangerous, but 50,000 innocent people were about to die. "Admiral," said Webb quietly, "the Zalari ship's shields are at 15%. They have maybe an hour before total failure." Chen opened her eyes. She thought about her own daughter, safe on Earth. She thought about the refugees on that dying ship, someone's children, someone's parents, all ships, she announced over the fleet communications. "Battle stations." The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. Warning lights began flashing. Weapon systems came online. The Retribution's massive engines hummed with power. "Admiral," said Morrison nervously, "should I inform Command?" Chen smiled grimly. "Command doesn't need to know about this. As far as they're concerned, we never left our patrol route." "Ma'am, engaging Kravik forces could expose our capabilities," warned Webb. "Then we better make sure there are no survivors to report what they saw." Chen replied coldly. The other ships in the fleet received their orders. 11 deadly vessels that officially did not exist prepared for battle. Each ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, built with technology that pushed the laws of physics to their breaking point. The UES Nightmare could phase in and out of normal space. The UES Oblivion fired weapons that aged matter into dust. The UES Paradox existed in multiple dimensions at once. Chen had commanded these ships through the darkest days of the Titan War. She had used them to destroy enemies that conventional weapons could not touch. She had ordered attacks that other species would call war crimes. But today, she would use them to save lives. "All ships. Jump coordinates locked," reported Navigation Officer Parks. "Jump in 3, 2, 1. Space twisted around the 13th Fleet as they entered hyperspace. In the medical bay, Dr. Martinez prepared for casualties. In the engine rooms, technicians made final adjustments to reality-bending drives. In the weapon bays, gunners loaded ammunition that existed in 11 dimensions. Somewhere in normal space, a Kravik dreadnought continued its slow, cruel attack on a defenseless colony ship. The Kravik had no idea that death was coming for them. Earth's deadliest fleet was about to introduce themselves to the galaxy. The UES Retribution dropped out of hyperspace like a ghost materializing from a nightmare. Around it, 11 other ships appeared in perfect formation, their black hulls drinking in the light of distant stars. Admiral Chen studied the tactical display. The Kravik dreadnought was exactly where their intelligence had predicted. It was a massive ship, 3 times longer than the Retribution, bristling with weapons that could level cities. The Zalari colony ship hung nearby like a wounded bird. Its shields flickered weakly, failing and restarting every few seconds. Chunks of metal drifted away from its hull where Kravik weapons had found their mark. "Stealth systems active," reported Lieutenant Morrison. "We are invisible to all sensors," Chen nodded. The 13th Fleet's stealth technology was far beyond anything the galaxy had seen. During the Titan War, humanity had learned that sometimes the best weapon was not being seen until it was too late. "Commander Webb." "Analysis of the enemy ship," Chen ordered. Webb's fingers danced across his console. Data flowed across multiple screens showing the Kravik vessel in perfect detail. "Bloodfang-class dreadnought," Webb reported. "Length, 4 kilometers. Crew, approximately 50,000. Armament, plasma cannons, torpedo tubes, shield breakers. Standard Kravik design with one modification." "What modification?" "Slaveholds. This ship is designed to capture and transport prisoners. The Kravik aren't just trying to destroy the colony ship. They want to take the Zalari alive." Chen's jaw tightened. The Kravik were slavers above all else. They conquered worlds not just for territory, but for the people they could capture and sell. A ship full of refugees would be worth millions on the black market. "How long can the Zalari ship hold out?" she asked. "Their shields are cycling between 8 and 12%, Webb calculated. Based on the rate of Kravik fire, they have 37 minutes before total shield collapse." Chen turned to her communications officer. "Morrison, can we contact the colony ship without revealing our position?" "Yes, Admiral." I can route a signal through the local asteroid field. It will appear to come from multiple sources. Do it. Tell them help is coming. Tell them to hold on. Morrison sent the message. On the bridge of the Harmony's light, Captain Zenthara received it and felt hope for the first time in hours. Chen walked to the center of her bridge and activated the fleet communication system. On 11 other ships, captains and crews stopped what they were doing to listen. "This is Admiral Chen," she began. "You all know why we're here. 50,000 innocent people are about to be enslaved or killed. The enemy thinks they're dealing with helpless refugees. They have no idea we're here." She paused, looking around at her crew. These were veterans of humanity's worst war. They had seen friends die. They had watched Earth itself burn. They had fought against machines that thought humans were insects to be crushed. The 13th Fleet was created to fight enemies that our regular Navy couldn't handle. Chen continued. "Today we face a different kind of enemy. Not machines trying to destroy humanity, but living beings choosing to destroy others. In some ways that's worse." On the bridge of the UES Nightmare, Captain Rodriguez checked his phase shift drives. His ship could slip between dimensions, appearing and disappearing like a magic trick. During the Titan War, the Nightmare had destroyed an entire AI fleet by phasing inside their command ship and detonating from within. On the UES Oblivion, Captain Williams reviewed her temporal weapons. The Oblivion's main guns didn't fire bullets or energy beams. They fired time itself, aging enemy ships into scrap metal in seconds. On the UES Paradox, Captain Singh monitored his quantum engines. The Paradox existed in multiple realities at once, making it nearly impossible to target or destroy. Each ship in the 13th Fleet was unique. Each had weapons that bent or broke the rules of physics. Each crew had sworn an oath to protect humanity and its allies no matter the cost. "The Kravik dreadnought is called the Bloodfang," Chen announced. "According to intelligence files, it has destroyed 17 different civilizations. It has enslaved over 2 million beings. Its captain, Vorthak, is wanted for genocide by half the galaxy." She brought up an image of the Kravik captain. He looked like a cross between a lizard and a shark, with rows of teeth and cold yellow eyes. "Today the Bloodfang's reign of terror ends," Chen declared. "We will show the galaxy what happens when you threaten innocent people, while humans are watching." The crew of the Retribution prepared for battle with practiced efficiency. In the weapon bays, technicians loaded shells that existed in 11 dimensions. In engineering, power flowed to drives that could bend space and time. In the medical bay, Dr. Martinez prepared for the wounded, though she hoped there would be none. "Admiral," reported Navigation Officer Parks. "All ships report ready for combat." Chen studied the enemy dreadnought one more time. It was still firing on the colony ship, taking its time, enjoying the hunt. The Kravik loved fear. They fed on desperation. They were about to learn what real fear felt like. "All ships move to attack positions," Chen ordered. "Phase shift approach. Quantum stealth until final engagement. Remember, we want to send a message to the galaxy." The 13th Fleet began to move. The ships spread out in a complex pattern, approaching the Kravik dreadnought from multiple angles. To any observer, it would look like empty space. The stealth systems made the human ships invisible to every type of sensor known to galactic science. 30 seconds to optimal firing. "Position," reported Webb. Chen activated her personal communication, linked to the other ship captains. "Ladies and gentlemen, you know the plan. Hit them hard, hit them fast, and leave no doubt about who did this." On the Bloodfang, Captain Vorthak was enjoying himself. The Zalari ship was beautiful in its helplessness, like a butterfly with torn wings. Soon its shields would fail completely. Then his crews would board and begin the harvest. 50,000 Zalari would bring a fortune on the slave markets. Their peaceful nature made them excellent servants. Their artistic skills made them valuable entertainment. Their children could be trained from birth to serve their Kravik masters. "Sir," called his sensor operator, "the colony ship is sending another distress signal." Vorthak laughed, showing rows of razor-sharp teeth. "Let them call for help. There is no one in this sector who would dare face the Bloodfang." He had no idea that 12 ships were already in position around him, their weapons locked onto his vessel, their crews waiting for the order to fire. 10 seconds to engagement," Webb announced quietly. Chen took a deep breath. In 10 seconds, the 13th Fleet would reveal itself to the galaxy. There would be no going back after this. Humanity's most dangerous secrets would be exposed, but 50,000 lives hung in the balance. "All ships, she announced. Weapons free. Show them what happens when Earth's deadliest fleet responds to an SOS. The bridge of the Kravik dreadnought Bloodfang was filled with the sounds of celebration. Captain Vorthak watched the Zalari colony ship's shields flicker and fail for longer periods each time. His crew was already preparing boarding pods and slave restraints. "Sir, their shields are down to 6%, reported his weapons officer, a scarred Kravik named Thurek. "One more barrage should collapse them completely." Vorthak's yellow eyes gleamed with pleasure. "No, continue with single shots. I want them to suffer. I want them to know their fate is sealed." The Kravik loved fear almost as much as they loved profit. Breaking the spirit of their victims before capture made them easier to control later. "Sir," the sensor operator's voice suddenly filled with panic. "I'm detecting multiple contacts. Ships decloaking around us." Vorthak spun around. "What, how many ships?" 12 contacts, sir. They just appeared out of nowhere." The main screen flickered to life, showing space around the Bloodfang. Where moments before there had been empty darkness, 12 black ships now hung in perfect formation. They were smaller than the Kravik dreadnought, but something about them made Vorthak's spine crawl with fear. "What species?" he demanded. "Council ships? Altarian fleet? Unknown design, sir. I've never seen ships like these." Before Vorthak could respond, a voice filled the bridge. It spoke in perfect Kravik, but with an accent that none of them recognized. "Kravik vessel. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran 13th Fleet. You have exactly 60 seconds to cease your attack and withdraw from this system, or we will demonstrate why humanity earned its reputation during the Titan War." The bridge fell silent. Terran, that meant human, but that was impossible. Humans were primitives who barely had space travel. Their ships were metal boxes with simple weapons. Vorthak started laughing. The sound echoed through the bridge like breaking glass. "Humans?" he roared. "Humans dare to threaten the Bloodfang? These primitive monkeys think their toy ships can face a Kravik dreadnought?" His crew joined in the laughter. Human ships were a joke throughout the galaxy. Slow, clumsy, and armed with simple kinetic weapons, the Bloodfang could destroy the entire human fleet with a single barrage. "Thurek, target the nearest human ship," Vorthak ordered. "Let's show these primitives what real weapons look like." The weapons officer locked onto the UES Nightmare, which hung motionless in space barely 5 kilometers away. "Locked on, sir. Plasma cannons charged and ready. Fire." The Bloodfang's main guns unleashed a barrage of superheated plasma. The bolts were bright enough to blind anyone looking directly at them. Each shot carried enough energy to vaporize a city block. The plasma bolts streaked toward the Nightmare. On the human ship's bridge, Captain Rodriguez watched calmly. "Incoming fire," reported his tactical officer. "Confirmed," Rodriguez replied.
Phase shift in 3, 2, 1. The Nightmare simply vanished. On the Bloodfang, every eye stared at the screen in shock.
The human ship had been there, solid and real. Then the plasma bolts reached it and it was gone. Not destroyed, gone. Where did it go? Vorthak shouted. The sensor operator frantically checked his instruments. I don't know, sir. It just disappeared. No debris, no energy signature. It's like it never existed. Then the Nightmare reappeared. But instead of being 5 kilometers away, it was now directly above the Bloodfang. So close that its shadow fell across the dreadnought's hull. "Impossible," whispered Thurek. Admiral Chen's voice filled the bridge again. "You had 60 seconds. You chose to waste them. Now you will learn why the galaxy fears human weapons." The Nightmare's main guns fired, but they didn't fire energy or projectiles. They fired gravity itself. The gravitational waves hit the Bloodfang's armor and compressed it like an invisible fist. Metal that had survived 1,000 battles crumpled like paper. Whole sections of the ship's hull simply collapsed inward. Alarms screamed throughout the dreadnought. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut as atmosphere rushed out through dozens of breaches. "Damage report," Vorthak screamed. "Forward sections 7 through 12 are gone," his engineer reported. "We've lost main power to the port weapon arrays. Hull integrity failing across all decks." But the humans weren't finished. The UES Oblivion moved into position and fired its temporal cannons. The weapons didn't destroy matter, they aged it. Sections of the Bloodfang's hull turned gray, then black, then crumbled into cosmic dust as centuries of time passed in seconds. The UES Paradox attacked from 5 different positions at once, its quantum engines allowing it to exist in multiple realities simultaneously. Each version of the ship fired different weapons. creating a storm of destruction that the Kravik couldn't track or counter. Other human ships joined the assault. The UES Entropy fired weapons that made matter forget how to exist. The UES Nemesis launched missiles that phased through the Bloodfang's shields and exploded inside the ship. The UES Reaper used beam weapons that cut through the Dreadnought's armor like it was made of soft cheese. The entire attack lasted exactly 60 seconds. When it ended, the mighty Bloodfang, terror of 17 civilizations, destroyer of worlds, hung dead in space. Sections of the ship existed in different time streams. Parts of its hull had been aged into dust. Its central core had been erased from reality. The few Kravik who survived were floating in escape pods, too shocked to even send distress signals. On the bridge of the Harmony's light, Captain Zenthara and her crew watched in stunned silence. The Zalari were a peaceful people who had never seen real warfare. What they had just witnessed was beyond their understanding. "By the eternal stars," whispered Zenthara. "What are these humans?" Admiral Chen's voice reached them on a private channel. "Captain Zenthara, this is Admiral Chen. You and your people are safe now. We're transmitting medical supplies and repair nanites to help fix your ship." "Admiral," Zenthara replied, her voice shaking. "I don't understand. Why did you help us? We are strangers to you." Chen was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was gentle. "Because someone called for help and we were in the area. That's reason enough." The human ships began to move away from the battle site. They had accomplished their mission with terrifying efficiency. But instead of taking prisoners or claiming territory, they simply prepared to leave. "Admiral," Zenthara called out. "Wait, the galaxy should know what happened here. The galaxy should know that humans saved us." "The galaxy will know," Chen replied. "But not from us. We were never here, Captain. Officially, this fleet doesn't exist." One by one, the human ships vanished back into the darkness between stars. They left behind only wreckage, stunned Kravik survivors, and 50,000 grateful Zalari refugees. And they left behind a question that would echo across the galaxy. If this was what humans could do when they wanted to help, what could they do when they wanted to hurt? The answer to that question would change everything. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within 6 hours of the battle, every major news network was broadcasting the story. The Kravik dreadnought Bloodfang, terror of 17 civilizations, had been destroyed in 60 seconds by ships that appeared from nowhere. The Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Prime were in chaos. Ambassadors from dozens of species demanded answers. Emergency sessions were called. Intelligence reports were examined and re-examined. Ambassador Thylex sat in his private office watching the news reports with growing amazement. The footage was grainy and incomplete, recorded by the Zalari ship's external cameras, but it showed enough. 12 black ships appearing from empty space, weapons that defied physics, a battle that lasted exactly 1 minute, and then the mysterious fleet vanishing as suddenly as it had appeared. "The ships were human," announced Ambassador Vex to the emergency council session. "We confirmed this from the transmission records. They identified themselves as Terran vessels." The chamber erupted in disbelief. Ambassador Fluvia's watery voice bubbled with confusion. "Impossible. Human ships are primitive. They use simple kinetic weapons and chemical drives." "Show them the footage again," demanded Ambassador Korath. The holographic display activated, showing the destruction of the Bloodfang in slow motion. The council watched human ships phase in and out of reality. They saw weapons that bent time and space. They witnessed technology that challenged everything they thought they knew about physics. "How is this possible?" asked an ambassador from the Crystal Collective. "Our intelligence reports say humans barely have faster than light travel." Thylex stood up slowly. All eyes turned to him. "Perhaps," he said carefully, "our intelligence reports are wrong." The chamber fell silent. "What do you mean?" asked Ambassador Vex. "I mean," Thylex continued, "that maybe humans have been hiding their true capabilities. Maybe we have been so busy looking down on them that we never bothered to look closely." Ambassador Korath's stone face showed doubt. "You think humans have been lying to us?" "I think humans have been protecting themselves," Thylex replied. "Think about it. If the galaxy knew humans had weapons like this, what would happen? Every species would either try to conquer Earth or ally with it out of fear." The truth of his words sank in slowly. The galaxy was not a peaceful place. Species conquered each other regularly. Resources were limited. Territory was precious. If humans had the power to destroy dreadnoughts in seconds, they would become either the most feared empire in the galaxy or the biggest target. But why reveal themselves now? Asked Ambassador Fluvia. Why risk exposure for the Zalari? Before anyone could answer, a new transmission came in. It was from Captain Zenthara of the Harmony's Light. The Zalari captain appeared on the main screen, her blue skin glowing with health. Behind her, the bridge of her ship looked clean and new. Honored Council, she began. I wish to make a formal statement about the events in Sector 4047. Proceed. Captain, said the Council speaker. The human fleet saved our lives, Zenthara said simply. They asked for nothing in return. They offered medical aid, shared their food supplies, and escorted us safely to the nearest Council station. When we tried to thank them, they said they were simply doing their duty. She paused, looking directly at the assembled ambassadors. The humans could have destroyed our ship as easily as they destroyed the Kravik vessel. Their weapons are beyond anything I have ever seen. But they used that power only to protect us. They showed mercy to the Kravik survivors, rescuing them from their dying ship even though those same Kravik had tried to enslave us. The chamber was completely silent now. There is something else, Zenthara continued. The human Admiral Chen told me something before they left. She said this was not the first time her fleet had responded to distress calls. She said they have been quietly helping people across this sector for years. Ambassador Thylex felt his heart racing. Did she say anything else? Yes, Zenthara replied. She said that when someone calls for help, humans cannot ignore it. She said it is not in their nature to let innocent people suffer when they have the power to help. The transmission ended, leaving the Council in stunned silence. Over the next several days, more reports came in. Long-range sensors detected human ship movements in distant sectors. Intelligence operatives found evidence of Kravik raids that had ended mysteriously, with no survivors to explain what happened. Pirates who had operated freely for years were suddenly found drifting in space, their ships disabled but their crews alive. Slavers who had terrorized peaceful worlds simply vanished. Warlords who had seemed untouchable were discovered in escape pods, babbling about ships that appeared from nowhere. The pattern was always the same. Quick, efficient attacks. No unnecessary killing. No demands for territory or tribute. Just swift justice and then nothing. As if the attackers had never existed. They've been protecting this entire sector, Admiral Korath told the Council. For years, humans have been fighting threats that we didn't even know existed. But why? Demanded Ambassador Vex. What do they gain? The answer came from an unexpected source. A human delegation arrived at Nexus Prime, led by Ambassador Maria Santos. She was an elderly woman with kind eyes and graying hair. She looked nothing like the terrifying warriors the galaxy now imagined all humans to be. Honored Council, she said when she was given permission to speak. I am here to address the questions about recent events. We want to know about your military capabilities, Ambassador Vex said bluntly. We want to know why you have been hiding your true power. Ambassador Santos smiled sadly. We have been hiding nothing. We have simply been protecting ourselves and others as best we can. The ships that destroyed the Bloodfang, said Ambassador Fluvia. Where did they come from? From necessity, Santos replied. 5 years ago, humanity faced extinction. An artificial intelligence collective called the Titans tried to destroy our species. We developed new weapons and tactics not to conquer others, but to survive. She activated a holographic display showing images from the Titan War. The Council watched in horror as AI ships attacked human colonies. They saw entire planets burning. They witnessed space battles on a scale that dwarfed anything in galactic history. We learned that sometimes peaceful solutions are not enough, Santos continued. Sometimes to protect innocent life you must be prepared to do terrible things to terrible people. And now? Asked Ambassador Thylex. What does humanity want? Santos looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of representatives from dozens of species. We want what we have always wanted, she said. To live in peace, to explore the stars, to help others when we can. The same things you all want. But you have weapons that could conquer the galaxy, pointed out Ambassador Korath. Yes, Santos agreed. And that is exactly why we will never use them for conquest. Power without restraint is not strength. It is madness. The human ambassador stood to leave, then turned back to address the Council one more time. The 13th Fleet responded to the Zalari distress call, because 50,000 innocent lives were at stake. They will respond to the next distress call for the same reason, and the one after that. This is who we are. As she left the chamber, the council sat in stunned silence. They had spent so long dismissing humans as primitive barbarians that they had missed the most important truth about them. Humans were not just warriors. They were guardians, and the galaxy was about to learn what that meant. 6 months after the destruction of the Bloodfang, the galaxy learned exactly what it meant to have humans as guardians. The Kravik Dominion, humiliated by the loss of their most feared dreadnought, launched the largest military campaign in their history. 3 entire star systems came under attack simultaneously. The Kravik leaders believed the human intervention had been a one-time event, a lucky strike by a small fleet. They were wrong. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching 3 different tactical displays. Each one showed a different star system under assault. Each one showed Kravik fleets numbering in the hundreds of ships. Simultaneous attacks on the Arcturus Vega and Centauri systems, reported Commander Webb. Estimated enemy strength, 600 ships total. Chen nodded grimly. The Kravik were making a statement. They wanted the galaxy to know that one defeat meant nothing. They wanted to show that they were still the apex predators of space. What about Council response? Chen asked. The Council fleets are mobilizing, Webb replied, but they won't reach the battle zones for at least 4 days. By then, all 3 systems will have fallen. Chen studied the displays. Millions of innocent people lived in those systems. Peaceful traders, farmers, scientists. The kind of people who had never hurt anyone in their lives. Ma'am, said Lieutenant Morrison from Communications, we're receiving multiple distress signals. All 3 systems are requesting immediate assistance. Chen activated the fleet communication system. This time she was speaking not just to the 13th Fleet, but to 47 other human vessels that had been secretly deployed throughout the galaxy. All commands, this is Admiral Chen. You are all aware of the situation. The Kravik have chosen to escalate. They believe they can terrorize innocent people while humanity watches. On dozens of ships scattered across space, human crews listened to their admiral's words. These were not just military vessels. Some were disguised as cargo ships. Others looked like civilian transports. A few appeared to be scientific research vessels. All of them carried weapons that could reshape reality. Today we show the galaxy who we really are, Chen continued. We are not conquerors. We are not empire builders. We are protectors. And when innocent people call for help, we answer. The human fleet began to move. Ships that had been hiding throughout the galaxy revealed themselves. Vessels that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously appeared in all 3 battle zones at once. In the Arcturus system, Captain Rodriguez and the Nightmare led a task force of 12 ships against a Kravik fleet of 200 vessels. The human ships phased in and out of reality, appearing inside enemy formations and devastating them before vanishing again. In the Vega system, Captain Williams and the Oblivion commanded 15 ships armed with temporal weapons. Kravik dreadnoughts aged into scrap metal in seconds. Entire squadrons found themselves moving backward through time until they had never entered the system at all. In the Centauri system, Captain Singh and the Paradox led 20 ships that existed in multiple realities. The Kravik found themselves fighting enemies that could attack from parallel universes, striking from dimensions that didn't follow normal physics. The battles were not even close. The Kravik had brought 600 ships, expecting to overwhelm any opposition through sheer numbers. Instead, they found themselves facing weapons and tactics that their minds could barely comprehend. Human ships moved like ghosts through space. They fired weapons that violated every known law of physics. They coordinated attacks across impossible distances with precision that suggested they were thinking as one mind. Within 3 hours, the Kravik offensive was over. Not one human ship had been lost. Not one civilian population had been harmed. The Kravik survivors, floating in escape pods throughout 3 star systems, could only stare in shock at the wreckage of their fleets. But the most shocking moment came next. Instead of pursuing the defeated Kravik forces back to their home systems, the human fleet stopped. They rescued the survivors. They provided medical aid to the wounded. They even shared food and water with their former enemies. Admiral Chen appeared on every communication channel in all 3 systems. Her image broadcast to civilian populations, military forces, and news networks alike. People of the galaxy, she began. Today you witness the true nature of humanity. We have the power to destroy, but we choose to protect. Her words were translated into thousands of languages and broadcast across hundreds of worlds. The Kravik came here to spread fear and suffering. They found only justice. But this victory belongs not to humanity alone. It belongs to everyone who believes that innocent people deserve protection. Chen paused, looking directly into the camera. To those who would threaten peaceful people, we are watching. To those who seek help, we are listening. And to those who wonder what humanity wants from the galaxy, we want nothing except the chance to help when help is needed. The transmission ended, but its impact was just beginning. Within days, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. This time, human Ambassador Santos was not just invited to speak. She was asked to address the assembly as an equal. The council recognizes the representative. From Earth, announced the speaker. Santos stood before the assembled delegates of 67 different species. 6 months ago, most of them had considered humans to be primitive barbarians. Now they looked at her with a mixture of awe and fear. Honored delegates, Santos began. Humanity stands ready to formalize our role in galactic affairs. We propose the creation of a joint peacekeeping force, combining human capabilities with council resources and authority. Ambassador Thylex, who had become humanity's strongest supporter, spoke first. What would humanity gain from such an arrangement? Santos smiled. The knowledge that innocent people throughout the galaxy will have someone to call when they need help. That is all we have ever wanted. And what would humanity contribute? Asked Ambassador Vex, his tone much more respectful than it had been 6 months earlier. Our ships, our technology, and our commitment to protecting those who cannot protect themselves, Santos replied. But more than that, we offer our experience. Humanity has faced extinction and survived. We know what it means to fight for something greater than ourselves. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Some delegates worried about human power. Others argued that humanity had already proven its restraint. A few suggested that humans were too dangerous to trust with galactic security. In the end, it was Ambassador Korath who asked the question that settled the matter. Ambassador Santos, he said, his rock-like voice echoing through the chamber. What happens if the council refuses this proposal? Santos looked at him calmly. Then humanity will continue doing exactly what we have been doing. We will respond to distress calls. We will protect the innocent. We will stand guard over those who need protection. The only difference will be that we will do it without your permission, instead of with your blessing. The vote was unanimous. The Soul Accords were signed 1 month later, establishing the Galactic Emergency Response Force with human ships as its backbone. The 13th Fleet, no longer a secret, became the foundation of the galaxy's new peacekeeping organization. Admiral Chen kept her flagship, the Retribution, but her title changed. She was no longer Admiral of humanity's darkest secrets. She was now Admiral of the galaxy's brightest hope. 6 months after that, the Retribution received another distress call. This time it came from a species that had never been contacted before. A primitive civilization facing extinction from a natural disaster. Chen read the message and smiled. Some things never changed. All ships, she announced to her fleet, prepare for jump. Someone needs help. As the human ships prepared to answer another call for aid, their message echoed across the galaxy. When innocent people needed protection, Earth's deadliest fleet would always respond to the SOS, and the galaxy was safer because of it.